FastMCP 3 implements server-wide authorization through middleware-based enforcement, applying authentication checks globally to all registered components. This pattern ensures consistent access control by filtering both visibility and execution based on OAuth token validation. The upcoming code demonstrates how to initialize a FastMCP server with AuthMiddleware, configuring it to require authentication for all components while maintaining clean separation between authorization logic and business functionality.
From FastMCP, import FastMCP. From FastMCP server auth, import require auth. From FastMCP server middleware, import authMiddleware. MCP equals FastMCP. Enforced auth server. Middleware equals authMiddleware auth equals require auth. At MCP, tool. Def any tool SDR. Requires authentication to see and call. Return protected.
This code demonstrates server-wide authorization enforcement using AuthMiddleware in FastMCP 3. The pattern applies authentication requirements globally to all components, ensuring consistent security across the entire server. By configuring AuthMiddleware with require auth during FastMCP initialization, every tool, resource, and prompt automatically inherits the authentication requirement without needing individual auth parameters. The middleware approach provides centralized control, making it ideal for servers where most components should be protected by default. This contrasts with component-level authorization, which requires explicit auth parameters on each decorator. The trade-off is flexibility versus consistency. Middleware enforces uniform security policies, while component-level auth allows granular control. In production, this pattern reduces configuration errors by eliminating the need to remember auth parameters on every component. The implementation shows how FastMCP's authorization system works at the infrastructure level. The AuthMiddleware intercepts requests before they reach components, applying the require auth check globally. This ensures that even tools without explicit auth decorators, like any tool, still require authentication. The pattern is particularly useful for APIs where security is a cross-cutting concern that should be handled consistently across all endpoints. Let's break it down.
From FastMCP, import FastMCP.
Imports the FastMCP class from the FastMCP module, providing access to the Model Context Protocol framework for creating and managing LLM tools and components.
From FastMCP server auth, import require auth.
Imports the require auth function from the FastMCP server authentication module, which provides a basic authentication check that verifies the presence of a valid authentication token.
From FastMCP server middleware, import authMiddleware.
Imports the AuthMiddleware class from the FastMCP server middleware module, which provides server-wide authentication enforcement capabilities.
MCP equals FastMCP.
Initializes a FastMCP instance and assigns it to the variable MCP. This creates the core Model Context Protocol object that will handle tool registration, context management, and LLM interactions according to the MCP standard. The constructor call begins the setup process, but doesn't show any configuration parameters in this segment.
Enforced auth server.
This string-literal enforced auth server appears to be a descriptive label or identifier for an authentication server configuration. In the context of FastMCP's authentication system, it likely represents a named configuration or instance that enforces authentication requirements across the server. The label suggests this is a server-wide setting that mandates authentication checks for all components and operations.
Middleware equals authMiddleware auth equals require auth.
creates a list containing a single AuthMiddleware instance configured with requireauth as its authentication check. This middleware will enforce that all requests must include a valid authentication token to proceed.
AtMCP tool. Def any tool SDR. Requires authentication to see and call.
Defines a tool function named anyTool that returns a string and requires authentication for both visibility and execution. The @MCP tool decorator registers this function as an MCP tool, automatically using the function name as the tool name and the docstring as the tool description. The docstring explicitly states that authentication is required to see and call this tool, indicating it will be protected by FastMCP's authentication system.
Return protected.
Returns the string literal, protected, as the output value of the current function or expression. FastMCP3's middleware-based authorization pattern centralizes security by applying requireauth globally through AuthMiddleware. This approach ensures every component inherits authentication requirements automatically, eliminating the need for per-component auth parameters. The trade-off is clear. You gain consistency and reduced configuration errors at the cost of granular control. By intercepting requests at the infrastructure level, the middleware enforces uniform security policies across all tools and resources, making it ideal for servers where most components should be protected by default. The anyTool example demonstrates this in action. No explicit auth decorator is needed because the middleware handles enforcement automatically. This pattern is particularly valuable in production environments, where security is a cross-cutting concern that should be handled uniformly.
The middleware that guards every endpoint still watches tools vanish into the void.